Hello everybody, welcome back to That Fiction Life. Today we will be talking about my favourite TV shows on Netflix. I cannot be the only one that is so intimidated every single time I click on the Netflix app and I just see so many choices. I do not know what to click on unless I've heard people talk about it or someone I know has recommended it to me. So today I will be sharing my 5 favourite shows from the platform. I have specifically chosen Netflix originals because then that means that everyone has access to it. If you are new to my channel, we talk about books, movies and TV shows, so if you are in any kind of fandom, I'd love to have you join the ranks. But without further ado, I'm going to dive straight into my list because I'm so excited to share what I've been watching and I've been obsessed with. Let's begin. Number 1, we have The Umbrella Academy. This was adapted from the graphic novel by Jared Way and Gabriel Barr. Now, Jared Way is of course from My Chemical Romance. That in itself is such an amazing reason to watch this show. This is a sci-fi show and it is absolutely perfect for fans of X-Men, The Boys, the show on Amazon Prime, and Good Omens. So a strange occurrence happens in the world where these women start giving birth to these children with magical powers. And this one particular man adopts 7 of the kids and they're a very dysfunctional family who reunite after some time to figure out how to save the world because one of the family members, who can kind of jump in between time, tells them that an apocalypse is coming. There is a lot of time jumping in this. We get to see flashbacks and flash forwards. The visuals are incredible. The cinematography and the scene placements are so intriguing. It's a very well crafted show and it truly gets more and more crazy every episode. When you think they're not going to reveal something else, some other bombshell gets dropped on you. The characters are what make this show because each person has a very in-depth backstory. They all have a different power which relates to how they live their life. But it's also very atmospheric and it's hilarious. Robert Sheehan's character Klaus is one of my favourite fictional characters of all time. His one-liners are so perfectly placed. This is a very unique type of show because there are a lot of comic relief scenes and it's not taking itself too seriously while being very emotional at the same time. Number 2 is Spinning Out. This is a figure skating based show. We follow Kat Baker, who after a somewhat recent injury finds it very hard to get back on the ice, but it has been a lifelong dream of hers to get to the Olympics. So the only way for her to kind of get back to the swing of things is to try having a partner for her skating routines. I cannot explain to you the feels that you will experience watching this because I became so invested in the storyline. As well as having the drama and the relationships, we also have that sports element. Visually, this was shot so beautifully. It looks absolutely incredible. This show also has a big focus on mental health. Kat herself has bipolar disorder, but it doesn't define her, and that's not the point of the show. It's kind of just something about her that we know, and we kind of get to see a perspective, what it's like to live like her. I don't personally know how accurate or how faithful it is, but I have seen people praise it for its accuracy. She also has PTSD from that fall, which every time we see a flashback of that, I've never wanted a season 2 for a show this much in my whole life. There is so much more left to explore with these characters. This really gives me nostalgic emotions from the show called Make It or Break It. It's a pretty old show, but it focused on gymnastics instead of figure skating, and those characters were trying to get to London 2012 Olympics. This show has just stolen my heart. I love this cast. I love the team behind it. I would love to do a full themed video just about it and talk about spoilers and things, so do let me know if that's something that you would like to see. Number 3, we have Elite. This show is How to Get Away with Murder meets Gossip Girl. We follow this Spanish prep school to which 3 students from a different neighbourhood get a scholarship in after their school burns down. This messes up the dynamic of these very privileged, rich socialite types of characters This, at its core, is a murder mystery, however, and it follows the same kind of format as Big Little Lies in the sense that you get to see police interviews. Because this is a Spanish show, you get to experience a different culture. It's one of my favourite things about Netflix. A lot of the foreign content offers dubbing. I must say it is a little bit strange for the first few episodes trying to pinpoint whose voice is of each character. I know you can watch subtitles, but for me, I want to see the actors fully express themselves rather than just read off of what they're saying. I want to see their facial expressions and what's going on. Once I got over that, the characters, just the atmosphere of this whole show feels so dangerous and intriguing. I couldn't stop watching this, and especially season 2 just ramps everything up to a pretty insane level. I mean, the plot twists and the way everything is unraveled, mind blown. The character development in this is also very incredible because I ended up loving people that I really hated at the start, and especially seeing their journeys throughout the 2 seasons. I can't wait for season 3. They're just all so compelling. The cast is great. The chemistry that they all have is really evident. It's just a very captivating show, but it's also incredibly diverse. I mean, they are dealing with all sorts of relationships, and they talk about religion. They touch on a lot of social issues while having that really entertaining murder mystery theme. Number 4 is Medici. So the initial reason for me wanting to watch this show was because of another show called Reign, and that followed Mary Queen of Scots. And the Queen Regent was Catherine de Medici. She, of course, was Italian, and she came from this very rich family. And whenever she talked about her roots, I was so intrigued. So when I found out there is an actual TV show loosely based on the Medici family, I was so sold. Then I find out Richard Madden is the main character, who of course, you know, was on Bodyguard, Game of Thrones. My allegiance will forever be with Robb Stark. It's set in Renaissance Italy and follows the Medici family, who are the bankers to the Pope. They're very important people, and throughout the story we get to see a lot of politics from that time and how money worked, which is a really interesting thing to get to experience. It's not wholly accurate to history, so it's definitely a fictionalized version, but it definitely does give you a sense of what living that time was like. Something I really love about it is the pacing. A lot of historical shows kind of take their time getting to some big climax at the end. In this show, episode after episode, something major happens. You could even argue that it's downright too fast-paced, but that's something I really loved about it, because once we get a plot twist, I think, oh great, we're going to spend so many episodes trying to get through this, but we're genuinely just getting straight to the point. You'll love this if you like Game of Thrones, but the early seasons, Outlander, The Tudors. It really fits well into that kind of group of shows. Number 5, my final show, is You. This is probably the most controversial show on Netflix. It follows a sort of serial killer, I guess, is the gist of it. Follow Joe, who develops this fascination with a customer who walks into his bookshop called Beck, and he kind of fixates on her a little bit. He's kind of stalking her, not kind of, he really is stalking her. We get this voiceover of Joe's inner thoughts. I think this show could have gone very wrong, but the way that this subject matter is being dealt with, especially with the cast and Penn himself, who plays Joe, in every interview that I've seen, he is telling people, you're not supposed to love him, he is crazy, we're not meant to romanticize the show. I really appreciate that, because it kind of puts into perspective that yes, this is fiction, this is not supposed to represent real relationships, it's very toxic. And I think if you go into the mindset of realizing that this is just supposed to be an entertaining show, I think you can just see it as a thriller with a crazy protagonist. The plot twists in this, especially season 2, I've never been so blindsided in my whole life, and I genuinely wanted to throw furniture at the TV after seeing one certain reveal. To be perfectly candid, I do understand why people fall in love with psychopaths, and if anything, this show just illustrates why it's wrong. So for me, it doesn't really romanticize it in any way. So, you know, it's made me scarred for life. And also, I should point out, this is genuinely a sequel to Dan Humphrey's life from Gossip Girl. If you don't know, Dan was also played by Penn, and everyone's just joking that this is what would have happened to Dan Humphrey after the Gossip Girl plotline, which is so believable. So those are my recommendations. Do let me know if you have watched any of these shows, or if you would like a sole video just discussing them in detail with spoilers and everything, because I love doing that. Also let me know what you have been watching, because I am always on the lookout for recommendations myself. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, and I shall see you next time. Bye!